Hello YouTube. Never mind the mess. Trying to convert an old bedroom into an office. But I just wanted to make a video kind of clear up something. It seems that I've been unintentionally lying to you about the location where the 1967 Ford Galaxie 500 was originally purchased. Now, it was purchased at Reavis Ford in Mocksville, North Carolina. But the building that I thought it was purchased at, the one that's still standing, is not where it was purchased. I've been going through old newspapers online from the area, and I found ads for Reavis Ford and a couple other places I'll get to shortly. But what I've been able to figure out is Reavis Ford had an old location, and that old location was where the 1967 Ford Galaxie 500 barn find was purchased, because the new, so-called new location wasn't built and completed and opened until, best I can tell, sometime in either in late 1967 through sometime in 1969. I'm not sure exactly when. All I know is they have there is an ad I found from Reavis Ford that had a picture of the new location. It looked like it was completed, but they were still at the old location, and they were advertising the new 1968 models. So, and it said in the ad with a picture of the new location, it said be on the lookout for a grand opening of the new location. So again, sometime between late 67, when the new 68 models would have been on the lot, and 1969, sometime in 1969, because I found an ad from 1969 that has their new address. The old location was at 700 Wilkesboro Street, 700 Wilkesboro Street. Their new location is on Yadkinville Road, which is Highway 601. And of course, like I said, that's the location where the building's still standing. I looked up the address for the old location on Wilkesboro Road and went into Google Street View, and I know exactly where it's at. I instantly recognized that I've been by there countless times. So I'm very familiar with where it's at, but there is no building there. It's an empty lot. So the old Reavis Ford has been torn down at some point over the years. There was also, I was able to find in these old newspaper ads, I found an ad for a Mocksville Chrysler Plymouth dealership located at 715 Wilkesboro Street. And it was there around the same time. It was there in the mid to late 60s. I'm not sure how much longer it stayed in business, or how long it had been in business prior to that. But it was there at the same time the Reavis Ford was there. So, and in looking the location of it up, they were right across the street from each other, approximately. So in a way, for a small town in the '60s, you kind of had an auto mall there, a small auto mall, I guess you would say. Again, Mocksville's a very small town, so that's about the closest thing you would get to that. In fact, to the best of my knowledge, and I believe I know Mocksville pretty well. I mean, I go there enough. To the best of my knowledge, there are no uh, new car dealerships up there now. Since All American Ford went out of business, and if you've heard me talk about All American Ford in the past, that was the dealership that was in the same building as the new Reavis Ford dealership, and they've gone out of business sometime in the last 10 years. But again, the building still stands. It's All American Pawn now. It's a pawn shop, and so anyway, getting back to the main thing here, the original Reavis Ford is gone, torn down, and but it's within. There's a road there, and I'm not sure that road was there at the time. Just a hunch, because just the way it cuts through, it seems like it might have cut through the old Chrysler Plymouth dealership, if I'm thinking correctly. Again, all these locations are approximate. I can get them pretty close, but they're still just approximate. I mean, I know the addresses, but I don't know how big the lots were at the time. But the way this road is, it's almost like it would have cut through that Chrysler Plymouth dealership. But there is a road now that is almost a straight shot between the old Reavis Ford and the so-called new Reavis Ford, where the building they moved into in the late 60s, 68, 69, whenever. So by that, you go down that road, and it's a very short road. It's approximately a half-mile shot between where the old building was and where the building stands now, the new building. So they only moved about a half-mile away. But they did move a little bit closer to Interstate 40. And, another thing, upon finding this new information out, I asked my mom about it, and she's been the one that's been helping me put some of these pieces together, the history of the car. Well, she was only 13 in '67, and in February '67, she wasn't even 13; she was 12. So she didn't go with my grandfather and my aunt to purchase the car, and she doesn't really remember the old location. But she did know that my grandfather, did business with Reavis Ford in the '60s. That's where he bought and traded in cars at. And I know sometime between there and the early '70s, I know by 1973 he was dealing with Dan Beck Ford in Yadkinville, North Carolina. But again, in the late '60s and in the '60s, he was dealing with Reavis Ford. And again, the Marty report I have confirms it was purchased at Reavis Ford in Mocksville. Now I do know, as I said, my mom was too young. My aunt obviously was 16 or older at the time. My aunt was several years older than my mom. I'm not exactly sure when she was born, what year, but she would have been. She was born sometime in the '40s. She would have been in her late teens or maybe 20, 21, I'm not sure. She was born sometime in the mid to late 40s. But yeah, I just wanted to clear that up a little bit. Take a few minutes to clear that up. As far as the Chrysler Plymouth dealership, as I said, I know where it is too. There's still a parking lot there. And there was a building there until, say, a year or two ago. Not very recently. I'm not sure when they tore it down. But I do know it's torn down now. And it looked nothing like a car dealership. So what I'm thinking is either it was completely remodeled, or more than likely the Chrysler Plymouth dealership was torn down sometime. This building was built approximately at the same place, on the same lot at least, and now that building's been torn down. Another thing, I'll end with this. Another thing I found was some old ad from Reavis Ford. I found some ads from the early 70s. And I found this ad from the end of 1970. It was in December, late December. I think it was around December 27th or something like that. They were trying to clear out the 1970 models that they had. They were still new cars, but you know, by the late 1970, they had the 71s on the lot. They were trying to get rid of them. You know, that still goes on today. They were discounting them, and they had several in this ad. They had several 1970 Trinos listed, among other cars. But I remember they had a 1970 429 Torino listed in this ad, and they marked it down from around I think it was a little over $4,000 to $3,500. Just imagine finding one like that today, especially in new condition like what they were selling them for. You know, obviously inflation and whatnot. You know, I'm not making a statement on that, but anything like that. But I'm just trying to say that if you could find a 1970 Torino 429 today in halfway decent condition for $3,500 or $3,400, I'd buy those all day long at that price. And of course, they had at least two other 70 Trinos with 351 Cleveland 4 barrels, which were pretty, you know, pretty stout engines in their own right too. Obviously, this is all pre-smog, pre-emissions, high compression heads and whatnot on everything. But anyway, I just thought I'd leave you with that. And again, I'm probably going to add to the end of this video, splice some stuff into the end of it. Wanted to get some more footage, but I'm free for a little bit tomorrow, but I think it's going to be raining all day tomorrow, so we'll see as soon as I can get that done. But, again, thanks for watching, and we'll, like I said, I'll probably splice something in after this. Thank you. Hey YouTube, this is just a follow-up to my video I made last night about the locations of Reavis Ford, and I thought I'd take you into Mocksville and we kind of check those places out, and we'll go from there. I was wanting to take my truck, but it had other ideas. I just had the transmission rebuilt less than 2 weeks ago, and it's already, last night when I was coming home, it really messed up pretty bad. I can't drive it. So, of course, it has a warranty, but I'm just not real happy with the service. Obviously, less than 2 weeks later, it drove better before I took it in. In fact, I couldn't tell much problem at all with it when I took it in, but the fluid was black and had metal flake in it and all that. It needed to be rebuilt. And I wanted to be proactive about it. It had 250,000 miles on it too, so it was due for a rebuild. But you know, when I take that truck on trips, you know, sometimes 7-hour trips to pick up parts or look at cars or whatever, you know, I didn't want the transmission going out on me, so I went ahead and got it rebuilt, and I'm not really happy with that. But today's Sunday, so I'll deal with that tomorrow when the transmission shop opens again. But anyway, I thought I'd take you through into Mocksville, and we'll check this out. I brought my GPS with me. Of course, like I said last night in the video, I know exactly where all this is. But I thought maybe we'll see what the GPS looks like when we get there, and I have it programmed in. I have the address programmed. Should be there around 3:45 or 4 o'clock sometime. The clocks in the car are wrong because I've had the battery disconnected and I just haven't set the clocks. I know it's quick and easy. You people with Mark 8s are saying it's quick. Why did you change the clock? But I just haven't done it yet. And I apologize. The car's kind of dirty. Like I said, I was planning on taking the truck, but plans changed. But anyway, we'll go check this stuff out, and you know, with the GPS, it might show some of the map there and kind of give a little bit of an idea, maybe more precisely where the buildings once stood. We'll see. You know, I can kind of show you on the map there with it too, possibly. We'll just see what I can do with it. But anyway, I'll pick up in just a few minutes when we get where we're going. So here we are, 700 Wilkesboro Street, that I'm showing you across the road here. Again, empty lot. It's actually for sale. Where I'm sitting right now is best I can figure where the Chrysler Plymouth dealer was back in the 60s. Again, this is the old, what I'm showing you across the street here is the old location for the Reavis Ford in Mocksville, North Carolina. Let me see if I can zoom a little bit. There, I think. See, there's a Miller's restaurant right here. It's a pretty big place in Mocksville, pretty well known. You see, there's the for sale sign. Wouldn't it be something? Wouldn't it be cool to, if I had that piece of property there, go buy that piece of property and present the Galaxie 500 to the new owner at the actual property where it was purchased originally. But that's not going to happen. Don't get too excited. That's not going to happen. But I am curious what they want for it. It looks like a nice piece of property, but I'm not going to buy it. Sorry. But again, that is the old location for Reavis Ford in Mocksville, North Carolina. Again, best I can figure. I'm not sure how big the location was, but yeah, and here you've got the there's the street that is like a straight shot to the new location, and it's actually, you can see, let me zoom out of here. No, it's not going to show. It's actually Yadkinville Road. It's considered Yadkinville Road on there too. That straight shot is considered part of Yadkinville Road, which is where the new location is. But it's, you turn off for just a second to get to the new location. Here's a shot down Yadkinville Road. See, from here, as I said, it's a really short road. You can even see the stoplight. The sign for the stoplight ahead at the end of the road. From here at the beginning of the road. So that just tells you how short it is. Like I said, it's about a half a mile from here to the new location. And I said I'm sitting in the old location for the Chrysler Plymouth dealership, best I can tell. And back behind me there's an AutoZone and a few little shops. But before I attract too much negative attention, let's move on to the next location I want to cover. Alright, here we are at the next location, which is right across the street in the Walgreens parking lot from the All-American pawn shop, which was All-American Ford, and before that was Reavis Ford. You can see it has a pretty nice parking lot. Again, sometimes they have cars and trucks for sale out there. Here you can see the service bays from the old dealership. And I mentioned, you know, obviously Reavis Ford sold new cars. It was a new car lot. Of course, the Chrysler Plymouth dealership was a new car lot. But I'm not sure when it went out. I don't remember Mocksville ever having a Chrysler Plymouth dealership. But I know it existed in the 60s and was still in existence in the late 60s. Now this All-American Ford, as I said, it closed within the last 10 years. And it sold new Fords. And I said last night in my video that to the best of my knowledge, and I think I know Mocksville pretty well, after All-American Ford went out, there are no new car dealers. That's not to say at all there's no used car lots, because there are plenty. There are just, I can't even tell you how many used car lots there are in Mocksville right now. There was a car auction in Davie County and Coolmee, which is right next to Mocksville, and a lot of used car lots sprung up around there and other places. And so I think, you know, obviously a lot of used car lots get their cars from auctions. So that, I think that's the reason for so many used car lots around here. Now that auction shut down a few years ago. It was open to the public, but of course it still had the dealer-only cars and stuff too, but it was open to the public. I used to go there all the time. It's actually just, I don't live in Davie County. I live right across the Rowan line, but it was really close to where I live, so I was up there pretty often, and never bought anything from there, but I just checked out what they had, and you know, I never really found anything that I had to have to bid on. But now they've reopened that auction, but it's a dealer-only auction now. So I haven't been to the new business there. I think they did have one public auction a month or two ago, and I was thinking about going, didn't make it, but as I said, I haven't been to the new one, and I think they may start having you know, opening some of their auctions up to the public more often now. They said they were going to see how that one worked, and if it had success there, they might start opening more. Here comes an ambulance. Hold on a second. But like I said, they may start opening up to the public more often, but it's primarily a dealer-only auction. But again, Mocksville's just a really small town, it's a quiet town. This is a Sunday, the last Sunday before Christmas, and you kind of see the traffic. Again, it's a Sunday, so there's not quite as much. It's probably about 4 o'clock right now, but you know, traffic's not too bad. That's one reason I was worried about attracting the wrong kind of attention, you know, in a small town like this, and you know, at my last location, sitting in an abandoned parking lot. I got a lot of stairs and everything, but anyway, this is the All-American Ford, and the new what was All-American Ford again, what was the new Reavis location that was opened in the later 60s. Then the 67 Galaxie was purchased. Again, sometime between late 67 and sometime in 1969, which is the best I can figure. Probably sometime in 68 if I had to guess. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I may be adding more to it, I don't know. In fact, I'll probably include some pictures at the end of this of some of the things I found, some of the ads and some of the maps and whatnot I've got to kind of put things in perspective. But again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch y'all on the next update. Thank you.